Hey YouTube, it's Tempest CFV here. I got another deck profile for you guys. This one's from my Ancient Dragon Tachikaze deck. I haven't profiled this one for a couple months, so I'm gonna do it again for you guys. Basically, we got a new grade 3 from the Fighters Collection, which it buffs the deck a little bit, but it doesn't actually really bring it up to competitive level. This deck's missing a lot of key things, like better rear guards, basically. This is one of the older archetype decks, so basically our options are really limited when we go to play it. But you can still make plays with this deck, and it's actually still pretty consistent. So I decided to pick it up again and play with it some more. And there are definitely some grueling weaknesses with this deck, which the new stuff from the Legion set is gonna fix. Um, but you know, I'll probably do deck profile on that deck at a later point. So yeah, I'll just get started. Your starter is Ancient Dragon Baby Rex. I like this card because a lot of people who play this deck will tell me to play like Dragon Egg and tell me that my grade 1 and 2 lineup is bad and I should be playing other stuff to help me get hand advantage. But I like to play this deck a lot more aggressively and try and get multiple attacks off per turn, basically. So Baby Rex is one of the best cards to do that. When he dies, you counterblast one, and then you search for Tyranno Legend, and then you Superior Call it. So if like he dies during the battle phase, you can get Tyranno Legend, which is a grade 3, and get a free 11k rear guard, basically. So it's really nice. And then for triggers, we're playing 7 crits, 5 draws, and then 4 heals. The reason you play 7-5 is because there's always an offhand chance of you like having to minus without having a card like this card to fix the minus for you. So it's important to have the extra draw trigger to just help you mitigate that loss in times of need, basically. You can play 12 crit if you want, though. Another thing I should mention is that this deck is actually quite useful with stand triggers now, but I went through my binder and all my tins, and I don't have nearly enough Ancient Dragon stand triggers, so I decided to just play this build the way it is with crits, and yeah, probably could use stand triggers actually effectively, but I haven't bothered to test with them just because honestly, even after playing this deck with the new cards, it's kind of bad, and I don't think I'd even want to use it in a competitive tournament anyway, so I haven't really bothered to test it more. But you can play stands if you want to. So moving on to grade 1s, we have 4 Iguana. This guy's the MVP of the deck. When he dies, if you have an Ancient Dragon Vanguard, you can counterblast 1 and Superior Call him. So he enables all of your multi-stage attacks, and he makes it so that you basically don't have to commit 5 rear guards at a time if you don't want to. So you need to play 4 of this guy. We're running 4 Triplasma because he's a 10k grade 1 and 10k attacker. That's basically the only reason. He's a decent attacker, decent booster. 2 Gatling Aloe. This is one of the first cards that starts off with your multi-attack combos. Basically, when he swings, you can retire an Ancient Dragon rearguard, and then he gains 5,000 power. So let's say you swing with him, boosted by Triplasma. You can use him, retire an Iguana Gorg, and then the Iguana Gorg will Superior Call itself. But the placement of the Iguana Gorg doesn't matter. So like if he's over here and he dies, you can Superior Call him over here if it's open. So that can help you get off multiple attacks in a turn. Generally, I don't have to use him for that. I have a grade 2 that does the exact same thing. So generally, he's just usually a booster, or I pitch him from hand to use for guarding. But he can be there for emergency situations. And basically because there's no other Ancient Dragon cards to play, so you have to play this guy. And then 4 perfect guards, because perfect guards are mandatory. For grade 2s, we're playing 4 Dino Claude. Like I said before, this is the grade 2 I was talking about, where when he attacks, you can retire an Ancient Dragon rearguard, and then he gains 5,000 for that attack. It's really helpful, like turn 2, if you have a grade 2 Vanguard and like him, and then like just their starter, you can just like have him swing, retire the starter, counterblast, Superior Call, and then you have a third attack that turn. that your opponent probably wasn't planning for. It's really good for putting in early pressure or even mid-game pressure. And the reason I play 4 is because even though you have to retire a rear guard, as long as you have like an Iguana Gorg or as long as your starter is still out, that's always going to be a 1-for-1 uses effect. So it's not actually that bad. I'd rather swing for 14 by retiring something than swing for 10k, which I'll get to in a second. You're playing 4 Beam Anklo, which is a 12k attacker. 12ks are really good in this deck because nothing really swings for more than 18, so you need to have this great big number over here. It's also great because it means that he doesn't have to necessarily be boosted, which can be clutch in some situations. I can't really like go into specifics, but like if you play the deck enough, you'll realize that having him be 12k is really important. And the last card is 3 Iguana Gorg, or not Iguana Gorg, Cryolifall. He's a 10k vanilla. That's basically it. He's a decent turn 2 ride. That's about the only reason why he's in here though. Like he can't power up like the other 2 grade 2s can, and since everything else in this deck is 7k, he doesn't really do anything for hitting against cross rides. The max he can hit for is 17, so he's really bad. But there's not really any other Ancient Dragon cards you can play, so you're basically forced to play him unless you want to play a not fully Ancient Dragon deck, which is kind of inconsistent. So I just play 3 of this. Like I said, there's a lot better cards coming out in the Legion format that you can play, and I'm gonna do a whole other deck profile for that when I finish that deck. So just stick with this build for now. And then for grade 3s, you're playing 4 Spino Driver, the Break Ride. One of the best cards in the game, probably a secondary MVP of this deck to Iguana Gorg. Yeah, not really else much to say. Basically, if you Break Ride this card multiple times per game, you're going to be pretty good as long as you can, like, because his effect is you have to sacrifice 2 rear guards to give him 10k and a crit, and then you draw 2 cards. So basically, if you have Iguana Gorg, you can counterblast 1 to mitigate one of those minuses. As long as you can do that like twice when you use a skill, it'll be worth. So yeah, one of my favorite cards for sure. And then we're playing 3 Ancient Dragon Volcatops. What he does is he's 11k. When he attacks a Vanguard, you can retire one of your rear guards, and he'll gain 5,000 power. So basically a grade 3 version of the Dino Claude and Gatling Aloe. And then his other ability is his Limit Break skill, which lets you counterblast 1, retire an Ancient Dragon rear guard, and then choose 2 of your rear guards, and then they get 5,000 power until end of turn. Now his Limit Break skill, which is the one that powers up rear guards, is actually really bad. Like, it's really bad. This deck, you have to counterblast so much for like Iguana Gorg and basically your starter. Now those are the only 2 cards that counterblast, but everything else in this deck revolves around retiring, and those are your only 2 cards that can, you know, become 1-for-1s when you go to retire stuff. So basically, this being counterblast 1 is really, really bad. Like, let's say ideally you want to use him to get your 1-for-1. You ideally want to retire your Iguana Gorg. So that means you have to counterblast 2 to get your same field formation, or by moving him around to get the power up your rear guards. So that's counterblast 2 for 5k to 2 rear guards. That's not really that cost efficient. Now alternatively, you could just take the minus and sacrifice, like I say, a draw trigger from your hand maybe. But then you're minusing yourself, and it's just not really consistent. Like, honestly, the way I play this deck, I can probably only get his skill off like once a game. And usually when I have him on my Vanguard circle, I'll have a field that's like Dino Claude, Triplasma, and then either Iguana Cryolifall or Beam Anklo over here. And then this guy, like, not doing anything. Either that or like Iguana Gorg will be over here. So like, if I've already Break Road, I'll have already used him at least once, so I already have like 1 damage down, right? So I give like 5k to these, I have to counterblast 1, retire this, and then I'll have 3 damage down when I call him back. And then I'll like, let's see here, I'll like swing with this. No, how do I do this? I remember now. Okay. This has to be over here. That's right. So what you have to do is you swing with this column first for like 22, swing with this, skill, retire this, Spear Call it over here, and then swing with this for however much, it's 18, right? and then that's okay, right? But you have to use this guy to retire this. So basically, in assuming you break road this turn, that's once, 2, 3 with his skill, and then 4 with his attack. That's 4 times you just counterblasted in one turn for with one card. Now you can see why he's the MVP is because you can keep using him to keep giving you 1-for-1s instead of having to minus. But it really eats through your counterblast really quickly. So having this guy's limit break be a counterblast 1 is actually not really that effective. But the fact that he swings for 50 he can retire a rear guard and swing for 16, that actually is effective. Which is mainly why I'm playing him, and the limit break is just kind of a finisher or like a one-off kind of thing you do. And the last card I'm playing is one Tyranno Legend. Like I said before, the starter lets you search for him off of his ability, so it's good to play at least one. Even if you draw into him, it's not awful because you can still potentially ride him, and his effect lets you retire 3 Tachikaze rear guards to give him 10k and a crit when he attacks. So unlike this guy, his limit break skill doesn't require you to counterblast at all. So it's a lot more cost effective than this guy. I mean, you have to retire 3 rear guards, but still, like it's still better because it gives him 10k and a crit. But like it's more cost effective than for counterblast, but it's less cost effective for retiring. So this guy's a good finisher. But generally, what you do is you'll use like a Dino Claude to retire your starter, and then pull him out like turn 2 or turn 3. So you just play one of it to use your starter to go off. If you play a different starter, you can play the 4th Tops if you want. Yeah, that's basically the deck. I don't plan on playing this deck competitively at any time soon until Legion comes out anyway. So yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. If you have any questions or suggestions, be sure to comment below. Give me a thumbs up if you like the video, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more. Thanks for watching.